Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Flames. How are you today? I'm your host, Jess Belmosto. The Flames have finally made time for their makeup games in their very busy schedule, only to make their schedule even busier. And we will talk about that right after this.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello, everyone. How are you today? I hope you're having a fantastic evening. I'm sorry that this podcast is up later than usual. If you follow me on Twitter, you know it's been a bit of a rough day. So today's podcast is dedicated to my late father, who just was a big hockey fan, and I'm sure he'd be very excited to see me tackling this podcast. But I'm Jess Belmosto, Metropolitan Riveters Public Relations Team. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. We're free 99 wherever you get us. And if you like free, YouTube is also free. I'm a big fan of things that are free, especially as a college student. So let's dive right into this. We have a date for all of those missed December games, and there are just 47 games remaining in the season. That's a little bit over half, obviously, because 41 and 41 equals 82. So a quick math there for you. But they have a busy schedule. Vegas, February 9th, and then these are home. All of these except the last two are home. So Vegas is coming to town on February 9th, and then the next night, Toronto's in town. New York Islanders are there on February 12th. On February 15th, the Columbus Blue Jackets pay a visit to the Saddledome. February 16th, the Anaheim Ducks are in town, and that should be a really good game considering that the Ducks are sitting second in the Pacific Division, so I'm sure that they will be fighting for playoff points, and that makes me nervous. And then Seattle is there on February 19th, and Seattle's just kind of chilling at the bottom of the barrel in the Pacific. We've been there, we know how it is, so come on over to the Saddledome, and we'll give you a warm welcome. And that will more than likely be Gio's, what do you call it? Tribute. Because they haven't, unless they're in, I almost said my hometown. Nope, unless they're in Calgary, between now and then, I think that's Seattle's first game in the Saddledome. And then you have Winnipeg coming on the 21st of February. Edmonton is in town on March 7th. And then Chicago will travel to Chicago on April 18th. And then the next night they are in Nashville. 10 back-to-backs when you look at the rest of this schedule, which is a lot. And I'm not sure what the original schedule looked like, but I don't think it had that many, and I certainly don't think any team should have to play that many back-to-backs in an 82-game season. That's a lot. It's a lot different for sports like baseball when you're not as physical and it's not as contact heavy, but 10 back-to-backs is quite a lot, and I'm interested to see how that will affect the playoff standings, because obviously not every team was affected the same way that Calgary was when it came to this COVID outbreak. So, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Last year, they played a ton of back-to-backs with their condensed schedule, and even not even necessarily back-to-backs, but they were playing more frequently. And they had a 36-year-old defenseman on their first pairing, and he did pretty well. So I think the Flames will be okay, and knock on wood, if they stay healthy, I think they will ride this wave just fine. We're going to talk about it more later in the show, but winning all of these games are not sustainable, and losing all these games are not sustainable. There are teams that I worry about when in the mix of things. You have to worry about teams. You can't, go into things too overly confident, because then you end up just being like really bad and just not playing to the level you should be. But nothing worry. Like, the only team that sets off like alarm bells is Toronto and Vegas, which are ironically back-to-back games, so we can just rip off the Band-Aid there. But Jack Eichel could be back by then, because his timetable was February, and he is skating with the Golden Knights now. Who knows what the updated timetable will bring? That's probably 3 weeks away. So, oh my God, that's not that far away at all. And we'll just have to see how they finagle that cap space, whose knees they're going to be taking out in order to, get that LTIR sort of deal going on. But again, Toronto, I worry about Toronto, because they are going to be fighting for those points in the Atlantic, because they want to get to the playoffs. They want to be able to win a first round, since the first time since dinosaurs have roamed the earth. And I think that that's very fair. And I hope they don't win. When Toronto loses, the whole world wins. Like, it is truly, like, nothing brings hockey Twitter together quite like Toronto being eliminated. And I think that the Islanders in Columbus don't really bother me. I think that they've had their struggles this season. Last time I looked, I think it was last weekend, the Islanders hadn't even had their 10th win. Yeah, like, they were floating around like the Montreal Canadiens territory, which is kind of embarrassing considering they have made the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times in the last 3 years, or something like that. So, I'm not worried about them. Chicago doesn't really worry me. Like, they're an okay team. Like, they're a middle of the road team, but is it really like something to have to worry about? The Flames have played them before this season, and I thought that it had gone fairly well considering. But again, you win some, you lose some. Like, these aren't games that, are do or die sort of vibes. And I don't worry about Seattle. I'm sorry, I don't. They are just not a good team. And sorry, Erica, the host of the Seattle Locked On Kraken show. But the Flames in Seattle, like, they don't worry me. I don't think that the Kraken can put out the Flames, but it's still too early to tell how teams will look that far down the road, and even what teams will look like 2-3 weeks from now. So you just got to take it day by day and just go with the vibes. That's just kind of how hockey works. And coming up next, we are going to be talking about Daryl Sutter sticking with his plan, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But first, head on over to BetOnline AG to place your bets on. There's football, there's some playoff games coming up, and then the championship games. So I'm more than certain you can place some bets there. And then basketball, March Madness is coming up. You can get a 50% welcome bonus when you sign up today and use promo code LOCKED ON for that 50% welcome bonus. All you have to do is sign up today, make that first deposit, and of course, use promo code LOCKED ON. It's easy, almost free, and I think my cat could do it. The website is very easy to navigate, and you can do it from your phone or your computer. So whatever you decide. That is BetOnline AG and promo code LOCKED ON for your 50% welcome bonus. Locked On Flames continues. Thanks for following me on Twitter at JessBelmosto, and let's keep this conversation going. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Daryl Sutter will be sticking to his lines that smothered the Panthers. And, these are more than likely the lines they will be rolling into Edmonton with, because they had practice today and everything looks the same. So, I don't think he'd switch it up 2 days before. And I'm not sure if they'll have skate tomorrow. They probably will. And then maybe an optional Saturday morning. But I just cannot get over how strong this roster was on Tuesday. Up and down, through and through, forwards, backwards, you name it. And this Calgary Flames team was doing it. From that first shift, they set the tone, and I'm a firm believer that that is why Sutter had that second line as his starters, because they went out there strong and they did not go in as if this was just a potential bloodbath. They fought off the Panthers and, like I said, set the tone for everyone else, and it was just glorious to see. And the roster just looks fantastic. Like, I don't know how much more I can gush about them without it possibly becoming like not safe for work, because I want to eat that second lineup. Like, I am just, it's such like, and I'm not even talking about like, ooh, these guys are like physically hot. Like, no, like that line as like a hockey analyst is so sexy. You have your strong offense and then you have your strong defense. And just those three players mesh together so beautifully that I just want to like, ooh, it's like prime rib. You just love to see it. And the Oilers have plenty of weaknesses that the Flames can capitalize on. And we'll talk about this more tomorrow on the Friday show, really breaking down the nitty-gritty of the Oilers. But if you take McDavid and Draisaitl out of the equation, they are an average, if not below average, hockey team and a roster. Even with the two of the best hockey players in the world on your team, you are still struggling. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? At the time I'm recording this, I'm going to check again, but it appears that they have not scored. Yeah, it's still 0-0 at the end of the first period against the Panthers. Like, what is going on? And I'm surprised that they have not been like beat up on, because that Duncan Keith and Cody Ceci freaking defensive pair is just a disaster. That whole defense, like, we think Goodbranson and Zadorov are bad. We haven't seen anything like these two. And the Flames just can't go in and underestimating these guys. The Oilers were out shooting the Panthers 14-2 at one point, while I was outlining the show. So in the first period. And the Flames, like I said, can't go in and underestimate them. There's this rivalry here. It's a Hockey Night in Canada game. This is the first time these two teams are meeting all season. And I guarantee you, Matthew Tkachuk is going to say something about Leon Draisaitl being pissy. Because you know what? He likes to get under their skin. He is just like Brad Marchand, and he knows what gets you going, and he knows just what it takes. So I don't doubt it for a second that this will be. I don't think it'll be as physical as the February 2020 game, but it is going to be an intense meeting of these two teams, and I'm quite looking forward to it. I think that any hockey fan would look forward to this. People were looking forward to this when the Flames and Oilers were trash last year. So imagine if these two teams could get on the same page and be competitive, okay? Had we not had the pause in 2020, these two teams would have met in the playoffs, and how sick would that have been? So maybe we just have to pay off the other teams and let the Oilers and Flames kind of fall together in the standings so we can get this playoff match, which I don't think we can write a check big enough for that. But like I said, the Oilers are not playing well. They have plenty of vulnerabilities that the Flames can capitalize off of. There's a lot, and we can just start by staring at the glaring obvious goaltending and their defense. And then everything else. And this team has lost 6 in a row. At the time I'm recording this, they have lost 6 in a row. Do not let this team get under your skin. Do not go in there and underestimate them. Go out there the same way you went out there on Tuesday night and played the best team in the league. I don't care if you're playing the best team or the worst team in the league. You need to go out there and play that full 60 minutes at full strength and just drill it home. Okay? Just drill it home. Just beat up on them, honestly. I think that would be so much fun to watch. I would like to watch that. Have the Flames and Oilers met this season? I feel like they have. No, they haven't. They haven't. I'm making that up. No, I was thinking of a preseason game. That's what I was thinking of. But coming up next to close out the show, we are going to talk about the Flames' chance at momentum and how it will finally be falling into place and they are going to find their footing. Thank you so much for tuning into Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcast and wherever you maybe watch some YouTube videos, because we are on YouTube and you can hang out with Mr. Krabs and my candle of the day, which I don't have burning today. The Flames have finally been given the chance to gain momentum and lay the groundwork for a postseason run. They released their schedule, or the NHL released the updated schedule, which we talked about in the first segment of the show. And, the Flames can finally build off something. They have a level of certainty and just, there's going to be some consistency there. And what does this team thrive off of, everyone? Yes, consistency. Thank you, loyal listeners. The offense is going, the defense is going, the goaltending is there. The Flames are on the same page, in the same book, on the same line, on the same word. Again, took them a little while to get back there, but they did it, and they have to keep it going. I expect them to return to their natural state of strong offensive hockey once they get over this hump in Edmonton, because next week they play 4 games. I could not tell you the last time that this team played 4 games in a week. It had to have been last year, obviously before Christmas. I'm happy that we're getting that. They play the Blues. I think they're traveling to St. Louis. I'm hoping that this team beats up on Jordan Binnington and makes him look like a clown, and I dare him to try to fight someone because it's on, okay? It's on, Binnington. I know you listen to this show, so keep an eye out, kid. And there will just be an opportunity for them to really lay the groundwork and to build and to get their footing underneath them, which is what this team has needed since December, since they lost those 4 in a row. And when they came back, they have they have some luck on their side and some momentum on their side with that 5-1 win over Florida. And obviously they're not going to win every single game. It's not sustainable to win 47 games in a row, but it's also not sustainable to lose 47 in a row. And I think that fans need to realize that, you can win some and you can lose some. Yes, there will probably be some shootouts in there, but it doesn't have to be the end of the world if it goes to that, because you have Johnny Gaudreau on your team. But, also, we're seeing flashes of vintage Monahan, and if we can somehow figure that out, that would be really nice to get him back to being, decent second line center. But this team isn't going to crumble after they lose 1 game. Okay. Yes, they might lose a few in a row, but just like the Oilers player said the other day, you can win 6, 7, 8 in a row, and you can lose 6 and 7 and 8 in a row, just like that. And the season moves so quickly that it's not worth working yourself up over, and it is certainly nothing that needs to be, harped on, jumped all over, and ridiculed. And who are we shipping off? What are we doing here? Who needs to go? Let's rearrange the lineups. Of course, unless you're my waiver line, we gotta do something about you. But I just think that it's gonna be okay. The Flames are still, I think they've just hit 40 games, and the other teams are in the division that are leading have played 45. Okay, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, especially to the Sharks and to the Ducks, and the Kings. I like all of them, the hosts on this network, I should say. And I just don't think that is something that is going to be sustainable, and something that is, what's the word? You're not going to finish the season with the Flames out of playoff picture. I don't see that happening. Do I think one of those teams could grab a wild card spot? For sure. Absolutely. Do I see one of those teams dropping so the Flames can get in? Yes, of course I do. And I think that is going to be a really good sign. And I think once the Flames kind of catch up in these games played, and we start seeing things shake out in March and April, it's going to look real good for the Flames. I have this feeling, and I don't like going into things overly confident, but I just have this really good feeling, especially after that win on Tuesday. And I will have a much better feeling, an even better feeling on Monday when we reconvene, if they beat the Oilers. And even if they don't beat the Oilers, I will still be riding this high, and I will be Miss Cocky if I have to be. So thank you all so much for tuning into Locked On Flames. Make sure that you are following me on Twitter at Just Belmosto, and make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube. Please, 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 please make sure. I'm going to start throwing up more visuals here and there so you can get more of a taste of things. And of course, if you're listening on a listening platform, make sure that you are subscribed there as well, and leave a 5-star rating and of course a nice little review. Spotify now has the 5-star rating as well, so that would mean a lot to me. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, because we're gonna break down the ins and outs of this 2022 Oilers team. Bye-bye.